Welcome to the Wisdom for Life podcast with David Baker. David was a former paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division and for over 30 years has been a preacher. He has written 5 books and is an Amazon #1 best-selling author. He is the chaplain at the county jail, pastors a church, and is the father of 11 children. Yes, 11. This podcast is here to give you wisdom for your family, your marriage, your children, your finances, your health, and your life. And now, the host of Wisdom of Life podcast, David Baker.
Hello and welcome. My name is David Baker. Welcome to the Wisdom for Life podcast and the Fabulous Friday, where I have with me today my fabulous wife,
Laura.
Laura, yes, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to get it. So, my fabulous wife, Laura. Hey, we're glad to be here today. We got some fun things to be able to work and to help you with, talking about marriage. So, we got a few other things we'd like to do before we jump in. If you have a question, send it to askpastorbaker@gmail.com. Question for me or my wife, and we'll just do some question and answer one of these Fridays. And so, all right, marriage joke. We're going to jump in. So a lot of jokes are funny, but they're bad. And so this one's a bad joke, but it's funny. All right. Pastor should be telling those. I don't know. You tell me. Here we go. There was a rich man who was approached by a poor beggar asking for food. The rich man asked, "Do you smoke? I can give you some cigarettes." The beggar responded, "No, I don't. I'm just hungry and want food." The rich man asked, "Do you drink? I have a bottle of good whiskey I could give you." The beggar replied, "No, I don't drink. I'm just hungry and need food." Finally, the rich man asked, "Do you gamble? I could give you some good tips on the races this weekend." The beggar again replied, "No, I'm just hungry and want some food." Finally, the rich man said, "Well, in that case, I better take you to my home." He invited the beggar into his car, drove him to his very substantial home. He introduced the beggar to his wife, who asked, "What are you doing with this man? Are you going to invite him to live with us, eat our food, and wear our clothes?" The man replied, "No, of course not. I just wanted to show you what happens to a man who doesn't smoke or drink or gamble."
Oh, my.
Isn't that bad? Now, by the way, the truth of it is exactly the opposite of that, okay? Yeah. The guys I deal with and the guys that the ladies my wife deals with, that's their problem. So anyway, but hopefully a little chuckle. So how was your day today, dear?
It was good, yeah. Went to minister to the ladies at the jail, and that was very good. And
awesome. Hey, if you show up every Friday, you're probably going to think my wife lives in the jail. Now, she probably should, but she doesn't get caught for everything.
Yeah, right.
At the jail tomorrow, what do we have going on?
We're going to have a baptism service for the inmates there. So
that is exciting. We have our own baptistry at the jail. And so all the converts that have gotten saved, we're going to baptize them tomorrow. And that should be fun. So, all right, here's a date night idea for you. Date night idea. So explore a new town, okay? Pick a town not very far away, long enough where you can drive and feel like you left the area. Don't go 10 minutes away or you'll be tempted to go back or if there's a problem. But an hour or so away, pick a little town, find a bed and breakfast there or an Airbnb there, and just explore the town. What are we going to do? What's the best restaurant? What's the hometown place where everybody goes? What's their activity? What's their fun things? What's their downtown like? And explore a new town. The peacefulness, the fun, the joy. You don't have to go to a big Gatlinburg or Branson to be able to have a nice getaway. Something you can do very quick and not very expensive to be able to have some fun. And we've done that a lot through the years to find a bed and breakfast. And now they have the Airbnbs to do that, but a lot of fun. So date night idea. All right, kid funny things. We'll have these every once in a while. So one of our kids, by the way, I won't tell you which one, because one of my children was listening to this podcast and said, "Dad, you talked about me," but it was a good talk. So I won't tell which one of my children this was, but one of my boys, we have 7 of them, so you won't know which one. He was little and he flatulated. Okay. You know what that means? He had some gas. And so he didn't know how to say that. So he said, "Mommy, I burped in my pants." So now he's a kid. We still tell he burped in his pants. So for a kid, that's a pretty good example of what happened. All right. So on this Fabulous Friday, we have talked about how we met, dated, and fell in love. We've talked about 2 weeks ago how to what?
Find the one.
Find the one. All right. Then last week we talked about how to stay pure until marriage. If you missed any of those, go back. Those will be every Friday. So today we're going to talk about getting
Married.
Getting married. All right. Hey, that's a good thing. All right. Since this is a family marriage Friday one, we're going to talk about getting married. So, first thing is make sure you date and marry with permission. Date and marry with permission. She was not mine until she said, I do. And the preacher said, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Before that, she wasn't mine. She was her dad's. So I need to go to permission. I need to get permission from him in our relationship. I have 4 girls. I have 2 of dating age, 1 that's almost there. And so the boy asked me for permission to date her. Then I get references. References? Yes, absolutely. It's amazing. We get references if we're going to put our dog in a kennel. We get references if we're going to go to some store or restaurant. Why in the world wouldn't we get references for our most important people that we have, our children? So get references, talk to a dad, talk to a boss, talk to a pastor. Very good, very important things to do. Again, she's not mine. She is her dad's and God's, and I need to date with permission. So her dad, I was nervous. He's a big guy. And working at oil fields and big hands. And he had one finger that was broken. What happened to him?
He was working on a vehicle and it got cut off by a fan. And he just grabbed it real quick, and it was in the glove, and kept the glove on, grabbed it real quick, and told the guy that was with him, "Take me to the hospital." And they rushed to the hospital, and at the hospital they sewed it back on. But it was crooked then from then on, because I guess the way they attached it.
So he had big hands, big man, hardworking man, oil fields and construction, and his finger was gigantic and it was hooked like that. And they say his kids, he would sit behind him in church. All he had to do was take that finger and dig it into their shoulder, and they knew, hey, they better be careful. So he was a nice guy, but I knew you put stuff like that off, like, okay, I want to get engaged tonight. I've got the ring. I got to get permission. So finally got up the nerve. I caught him in the bathroom at church at my wife's sister's wedding and say, hey, I'd like to ask your permission for your daughter's hand in marriage. He said, well, yeah, I guess. I've been expecting it coming. By the time it came to her, your number, what girl?
Oh,
Don't know. Number 8 child, but number 6 girl. Okay, so number 6 girl. So by the time it came to her, yeah, that's fine. Get rid of another one, but no. But ask permission. Okay, respect that. It's amazing how disrespectful people can be to the parents of the person that you're trying to woo and win and marry. I really like it when my son. I had to get permission to date his future wife, his wife now. The dad said, yes, you can start talking and dating, and gave the parameters. By the way, the dad's in charge of that. How fast, how much. She was still in high school. He had just started college, and he said, I want you to start writing, handwriting letters back and forth. When you get a letter, you write her. When she gets letters, she writes you. That's how they started. To keep it slow so it doesn't go from a 0 to 100 in a few days or weeks. And that happens. And so he guided the relationship. He's the dad. He's in charge of that, and respect that. The other thing he said I really liked, and we've picked this up too, he told my son, do you remember?
It was like, I'd like to get to know you, like, as friends, being friends with the dad. And so he was like, I'd like to get to know you too. So he wanted to talk to him every so often so he could get to know him as a person too.
Very simply, he said, as your relationship with my daughter grows, I want my relationship with you to grow. Because if this works out and this is what God wants, then you will become my son-in-law. Not just married to my daughter, and I want our relationship to grow too. I really like that. I think that was important. He had 3 girls. She was the last one, so he had learned that earlier and did that. So date and marry with permission. Next, honor your mother and the father. The last thing you want to do before you cut the cord and get married is to dishonor or disrespect your parents. Don't be selfish and elope. And so they don't get to have a wedding ceremony. Now, if you guys talk about that and that's the best thing to do for whatever reason, that's fine. But don't just, oh yeah, by the way, mom and dad, we got married. What? The hurt. Boy, that precious child, they look forward to the day, the dad, to walk his little girl down the aisle. When they say, who gives away the bride? And he says, her mother and I. It's a special thing. That last hug, that kiss on the cheek from the daughter right before she goes to marry her husband. It's a big deal. I've got to do it once. Look forward to doing it more. And if that was taken away, that would hurt a little bit. The same thing, for the mom to be able to cry all through the ceremony. I mean, she looks forward to that. I mean, it's a special thing. Tear, why does moms cry at weddings? Because she knows what it's like, how horrible it's going to be.
No, that's not true. It's very touching, very sweet parts of the ceremony. And yeah. And so you cry.
When my daughter got married, there's a song written by Benjamin Everson, and it's titled, What Matters? I forget. It's really good. But it's a wedding giveaway song.
That's What Matters to Me.
That's What Matters to Me. That's What Matters to Me by Benjamin Everson. You can look it up. And my daughter and I sang that to each other after I walked her down the aisle. I had a headset on. She picked up a microphone, and we sang this dad-daughter giving away song right at that time. And it was sweet and neat and special.
I cried the whole time. It was very sweet.
And so anyway, so don't be selfish just for what you want to have a ceremony. Well, it's just going to cost a lot of money. Well, we're going to talk about that. All right. Next, the rehearsal. The rehearsal. I have done, I'm sure, 100 weddings, and that means 100 wedding rehearsals. So when we get to that point, here's what I always say. Very important. To the bride and to the whole party, and especially to the mom or the mother-in-law. Say, listen, the wedding we're getting ready to rehearse for, I only care what one person thinks, and that's the bride, of course, and God. Whatever the bride wants, that's what I'm going to do. If the bride wants me to say the vows standing on my head with peanut butter in my mouth, I will do my best to say the vows on my head with peanut butter in my mouth. How come? It's not my wedding. It's her wedding. And it's not the groom's wedding. He doesn't care. What do you think? I don't care. What do you want? I don't care. That's not what they're looking forward to, okay? Girl, do whatever you want to do. Moms, back up. Stay away. Let them do what they want. I do it so the bride doesn't have to be, and I have fun with it and make a big deal out of it. But I don't care what the best man wants or the bridesmaid wants. I don't care what the maid of honor wants. Whatever the bride wants, that's what I'm going to do. And it rallies everyone around. If you ever don't do this, you have some mother or mother-in-law that's saying, no, I want to do this, and it makes a big mess and a fight. It shouldn't be that way. This is a beautiful, sweet time. Whoever's doing your wedding rehearsal, have them say that to make sure everybody knows the only thing we care about is what the bride wants. It's her wedding day and nothing else matters. All right. Mm-hmm. So how was that, or have you seen weddings where things were not that way?
Well, I have, and it's not a fun wedding then. And people are on edge because, there's so much interference, and the bride's still trying to get the wedding that she's always dreamed of having, and it's just a big conflict, and it's just not any fun. But I know our wedding, it was a very sweet time and special, and we didn't have any of that interfering, and so we got to lay out exactly what we wanted done. And with our daughter, the same thing. She got to do the same thing, and there wasn't any interfering. So we just always encourage the family, let them have their wedding. Don't get in the way.
Amen. And it's not what they want. Again, it's what she wants. I could care less. I didn't get anything in the wedding that I wanted, and I didn't care. How come? Because I got what I wanted. I got to kiss my bride. That was what I was looking forward to. When we were getting married, I said, so, okay, how many groomsmen do I need to get together? 2 or 3 or what? And she goes, well, I want all my sisters to be in my wedding. What? Yeah, all my sisters. I want them to be my bridesmaid. Are you kidding? It's you. I got to get 8 guys. She has 8 sisters. Yeah. I got to get 8 guys to stand up to drive all the way to Ohio to be in my wedding. I used my dad is my best man. I used my 2 brothers. I used one friend from grade school, 2 friends from the Army, 1 friend from college, and even had to borrow one of her brothers to make up my 8. Well, that's a big deal. And guess what? I don't care. If that's what she wants, then that's what I'm going to do. That ought to be your philosophy. So, all right. So, the wedding. All right. Make sure you have a budget ready of minimum $20,000 or don't get married. Is that right?
No way.
What?
No way.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Today, economy, inflation, you probably need at least 40 grand. Is that right?
No.
Oh, okay. So, well, we had a big wedding. I mean, I'm sure it was like really expensive, right?
No, it wasn't at all.
No, it wasn't. So, all right. Tell us, how much did we spend on those big things of our wedding?
Well, my wedding dress I paid $40 for at the JCPenney outlet in
So
Columbus,
this was like
Ohio.
a used one that had been
No,
like found at a thrift store, was all dirty. Is that right?
no
No.
way. This was brand new, but you can go to, places where you can get them wholesale. And so it was an outlet store, and they had hundreds of wedding dresses. Well, I found what I liked. It
And
was,
by the way, it was beautiful. We can show you pictures. It was gorgeous.
and it was too big, but that's okay because I sew, and so I just altered it down to my size.
So what size did you buy? Do you remember?
Oh, it's either like a 12 or 14 is what I bought. And at the time I was like a size 2.
Two.
So I really had to take it down.
But a lot of extra material you can use to fill in all the places to make sure it's modest, because some wedding dresses aren't. By the way, on a side note, have a modest wedding dress. Why in the world do you want to show your stuff to everybody? And that just floors me. Even Christians, why they do that. That is to be seen by one person, your husband. Anyway, okay, I know it's a podcast. I'm not supposed to be preaching, but anyway, have a modest wedding dress. So you paid how much for that dress?
$40.
$40. It would have been a few $1,000s, and it was beautiful. So, all right, we have to get more than 8 bridesmaid dresses to do what you need to do. So how much were they?
They were $17 each.
Wow.
And I got those at that same JCPenney outlet in Columbus, Ohio. And so, yes, $17 each. And I even got the Flower Girls dress there too. And so they needed some things done to them that we wanted to make them a little better. And so I bought an extra dress for the material to make sure that it matched it exactly. And then I took that one dress apart and was able to do what I needed to the other dresses.
Awesome. And we got married in a church that didn't cost anything. It was my wife's home church. We were there just about a month ago for a conference, and I got to stand at the very place where we got engaged at her sister's wedding the year before, or 6 months before. Got to stand in the same place where we got married, where I said, I do. She said, I do. And you may kiss your bride. Very special. So still go back to that place, a church. So you can get married without a whole lot of money. It's amazing. People will spend thousands of dollars on real flowers that will die in a couple days. Why? You don't have to have that. At our church, we would save things left over from weddings for people that had money, and they didn't care. They weren't going to use them again. And so when we had a wedding from someone who didn't have a lot, we had things they could go look through, and things to dress it up, an archway, flowers for the pews, and they loved it. And there's ways to be able to do that without spending a lot of money. It is amazing. My daughter's a photographer and my son's a videographer, and they do weddings, and literally people will spend $50,000 plus on weddings. Hey, put that on your house, okay? What a down payment on a house. You're going to spend all this money on things for the ceremony. That's not the big part. The big part of marriage is being able to come together and be one with God and spend life together, not a drunken brawl that so many people don't remember the next day. So, all right, anything else on the marriage or marriage ceremony? We're going to go to honeymoon.
Okay. Well, as far as talking about just the budget also, myself and some of my sisters, we put together the flowers. You could buy them at a place that was another outlet place where they sold flowers, and so we bought all the necessary things we need and we put them together ourselves. And of course we used silk flowers too, so that we could do them ahead of time and they would be ready. But it didn't cost us very much that way.
Awesome. Hey, use volunteers. Well, if you've got a good church and you got people, there are ladies that would love to help make a rehearsal dinner. Imagine we had a big bridal party. Flower girl, ring bearer, 8 bridesmaid, 8 groomsmen, all the family associated with that. It was a big meal for rehearsal dinner, and it didn't cost us a dime. The ladies in the church and her family went together, and we had this great meal, great fellowship, and it didn't cost anything. So think through those things of what you can do. Use volunteers. Ask for help. There are people that would love and would feel honored to get to help and be a part of your wedding.
And the other thing is, too, when it comes down to it, whether you spent a lot of money or a little bit of money, you're still married, no matter how much money you spent. And that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
We didn't care, the biggest thing is we were in love and we wanted to be married. And so, we didn't have to spend a ton of money for that to happen.
Absolutely. All right, honeymoon, same thing. Don't break the bank. Find a great, quiet, private, beautiful place to spend alone time. Okay, you don't have to spend money on all the excursions and all the expensive things because that's not important. The importance is you guys being together. A beautiful scenic walk can be just as amazing as a few $100 activity that you do. Make sure you take great pictures and videos. We spent our honeymoon at a Christian ranch. And it was beautiful. It was amazing. We had private time. We had a private pool we could go to. We had a private hot tub that we had. We had a special candlelight dinner given to us. We got marriage counseling from the guy who ran it. We'll talk about that. Not that we needed it, but it came with a package. And I had a special Surrey ride, and it was a lot of special things. And somebody that was their job the whole week to video everything. At the end, they gave us this video that was put together, and they videoed us all week long without us really knowing or realizing it. And boy, great memories to have the rest of your life. And so the pictures and videos are really important because those will be memories that you have. But do not have to spend lots of money. But I'd rather spend more money on the honeymoon than on the wedding because that's starting your life together and the memories you're going to have.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So, one last thing on the wedding, my pet peeve as a pastor. Are you ready? Okay. So, after the wedding, all right, you just said, husband and wife, you may kiss your bride, but God has joined together, let not man put asunder. I take great pleasure in introducing you for the first time, Mr. and Mrs. John Smith. Yay! And they walk out. Okay. And so then you're going to have a reception. What happens in so many weddings is the couple and the wedding party goes and does an hour plus of pictures. And the people who came to honor you with the wedding are sitting there in the reception waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for you to come over there. Don't do that to them, okay? If you're having a meal, which you don't have to, but if you're having a meal, then have them get started on the meal, and then when you're done with pictures, they're done with their meal, come cut the cake. I have all the time there, so they don't have to wait. If you're not doing a meal, which you don't have to, then from the auditorium, greet everyone, go over to the reception, cut the cake, do the drink, then let them get started, then go do your pictures, okay? It's a very simple thing, but to be respectful of the people that took their time to come to be a part of your wedding, be respectful of them. It's my pet peeve. I've been to so many weddings and I'm seeing the people just sit there and then people start to leave and people start to leave and people start to leave because they don't know when you're coming over. They don't know how long you're going to be taking pictures. You're in the middle of pictures. You're loving it. They're just waiting. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can fix it just like that. Okay. All right. That's what I have down. Any other thoughts you have on marriage, the rehearsal, the ceremony, the honeymoon? Any other thoughts you have?
No, I think those were all good points to make. I know that we made sure that, everybody was taken care of first and people were eating. Then we went and did the pictures and that worked out very well.
Awesome. One thing to don't script on, make sure you have a good wedding photographer. This is not an advertising for my daughter because I'm sure she couldn't do your wedding. But those pictures, we have seen so many people that hate their, oh yeah, I can take pictures and they have a phone. I know a phone can take good pictures, but it's not the same. Someone who knows what they're doing, who knows how to pose, who knows to get which picture is there. It really is a big deal to have those pictures because that will be your biggest memory for the rest of your life. If you have good wedding pictures, you will be able to save and savor those memories forever. So make sure you look at someone who knows what they're doing, look at their portfolios, look at the weddings that they've done, make sure they know what they're doing. If you can get it cheaper, that's great, but just make sure they can take good pictures. If not, you will regret it. We know people, and we've heard them, they got a cheaper wedding photographer, and they don't use any of their pictures. They hate them all, and you don't want that. All right?
Yeah, if I was going to cut money somewhere, then it would be in other areas. But the photographer, that's very important. So.
Now, we were very blessed in our wedding. We had
a couple in our church who, she was a photographer and he was a videographer. No, I'm sorry. It was just the opposite. He was a photographer. She was the videographer. And they had told us ahead of time that they would love to do the pictures and video for our wedding as a wedding gift. So that was just a really amazing thing. And
And
so
this was like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like you didn't get really good videos of wedding, but he did a great job. We've been married for 31 years and we watched that video and it's amazing. He did fade ins and fade outs with her baby picture and then her now and my baby picture and me now. And he did a really good job of editing and putting this together. And it wasn't easy to do back then. And so we got a great thing, just blessed of God, donated by some people in relationships there. We wouldn't have asked that. Don't expect that. Don't ask somebody, hey, would you do mine for free? Don't do that. But we're very blessed to be able to have that. But and then great, we still enjoy today. So, all right. Hey, a little bit longer today, but big important things. Marriage, okay? It's a big deal. Parents, help your kids with these things. Young people, save these things up in your mind of what you're going to do. You will use them and need them one day. All right. God bless you. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Wisdom for Life podcast. If you have any questions for us, email us at askpastorbaker@gmail.com and we will answer them in an upcoming podcast. The email is askpastorbaker@gmail.com.